Morning guys, and welcome back to I Like Watches. Today I'm going to be taking a much closer look at the latest release by Vesuviate. It's called the Volare. It is a GMT watch containing the Seiko NH34. Now, I did show you a prototype of this watch earlier on in the year, but I believe there were a few changes being made to the full production watch, so they've now sent me a full production watch to feature in this video. So I am going to be showing you this watch in a lot more detail. I'll run through the facts, figures, stats and specifications towards the end of the video. Prior to that, I just want to show you this watch in a lot more detail and give you some thoughts on it. Now, if you are interested in picking up this watch, I've put a link to their website in my video description. It's not an affiliate link, although they did send me this watch for free to show you guys. And it normally retails for $395, but they're offering a 5% discount at the moment with Vesuviate Holidays. So if you are interested in picking up this watch, make sure you use that discount code. That's going to drop the price to $375 US. That's 356 euros, 307 British pounds. Right, let's start by putting this thing on the Timegrapher to see how well the movement's running. Well, that's pretty good, isn't it? On the Timegrapher, plus minus 0 seconds a day, decent amplitude, and beat error's okay, 0.4 milliseconds. Not fantastic, but it's certainly not bad. So yeah, I'm very happy with the way this one is running, on the Timegrapher anyway. Right, and here it is. They have sent me a different colour variation to the watch I received for the video I posted earlier on in the year. This is the fully loomed dial version, I believe. So yeah, the lume display should be pretty impressive, and you can see that AR coating already. Look at that. Yeah, so decent AR coating on this. Well, I suspect it's sapphire crystal. I shall do the tests towards the end of the video. A couple of pieces of crystal look, and the one on the back is tinted very strongly. It's a sort of red colour. I'm not entirely sure why that is, but yeah, we'll have a closer look at that in a minute. Now, it is a GMT, and according to the website, the bezel is bidirectional, which is fairly typical for a GMT watch. But on this one, I think it's a unidirectional bezel. I think it's supposed to be anyway, because rotating it anti-clockwise is actually a very pleasant experience. The clicks are nice and crisp, the grip is decent, and yeah, the resistance is very consistent all the way around. But as soon as you try to turn it clockwise, it becomes a whole different story. So I think we should probably just refer to this one as a unidirectional bezel. And the alignment of the bezel seems okay, actually. Fractionally off, I think, but only fractionally. Look at the 24, perhaps just needs to sit, I don't know, a little bit to the right. Maybe it's the chapter ring just sitting slightly to the left, but if you line up the watch with the bracelets, it just looks fractionally off. Well, with this being the fully loomed version, I think we should take a look at the lume in all its glory fairly early on. Here it is then. I'm just using a UV torch to give it a quick boost, and yeah, there it is. Fully loomed dial. You've got loomed hands as well, which isn't always the case with fully loomed dials. Sometimes manufacturers choose to leave those without any looms so that you get a stronger contrast against the fully loomed dial, and a, well, fully loomed bezel insert to some degree. It's a half and half bezel, which is very typical for a GMT watch, but yeah, decent lume display. Now, I'm not sure I'd categorise this as a pure GMT watch because, well, it has a fairly strong sort of dive watch vibe to it. It's also got 200 meters of water resistance. Okay, there's no dive bezel, but you've got a fairly substantial clasp. Seems to be very nicely milled, fully milled by the looks of it. The outer shell might be pressed, but it's pretty substantial, and you've got this sort of on-the-fly adjustment system here, which I've seen before on clasps like this. But what I also like is they have also given you 3 micro adjusts, so plenty of adjustment with this clasp, but it is quite big and substantial, isn't it? So yeah, the sort of clasp that you would expect to see on a dive watch, and the watch itself as well has strong sort of dive watch vibes. Screw down caseback, screw down crown, and 200 meters of water resistance. So it's a sort of hybrid dive watch GMT, I think. Fairly strong original design as well. Certainly the case shape is a little bit unusual. It looks like it's going to be a sort of turtle case shape, but then you've got these little cutouts giving you more defined lugs. It's actually quite in keeping with their design ethos, if you like. So yeah, fairly strong sort of Vesuviate vibes. Their other watches have very similar case shapes, and the finishing seems nice enough. Half and half in terms of brushed and polished finishing, and fairly short stubby end links on the bracelet, polished center links, brushed outer links, but yeah, the end links seem to finish quite abruptly. Female end links, so yes, it's a slightly heavier than average watch, I'd guess. And probably a little bit bigger than average, but you know, fairly short in its length. I'll give you the dimensions and measurements in a minute. But yeah, those female end links are certainly going to help it fit and accommodate people with slightly smaller than average wrists. The bracelet seems very nicely made, just like the case. Yeah, the finishing seems good, not too jangly. End link fit is, yeah, very nice. So it seems to be a very nicely made watch. I've taken some macro shots of the finishing of the steel, and it seems, yeah, pretty good. Right, I've taken out the spring bar that connects the bracelet together, so we can have a closer look at this Caseback, partially polished, partially brushed. And yeah, a display Caseback with a very strong red tint to it. I'm not entirely sure why they've done that, but yeah, not that it's the most attractive movement to actually look at, but still, I would have thought if you're going to put a display Caseback on the watch, you'd want to see through to the movement fairly clearly. You can see some specifications and some details on the Caseback Vesuviate Volare Seiko SII NH34, a stainless steel hardened. They do detail on their website some information about the stainless steel being hardened through a heat treatment. I don't know the science behind that, but that's what they've detailed on their website. And yeah, 200 meters there as well. So it seems to be nicely done. And you can also see these double-ended quick release spring bars, which is pretty cool. If you just grab these. Oh, now these don't poke out particularly far from the Caseback. Am I going to be able to do it with my fingers and nails? Okay, I think I might need longer nails. Yeah, so you've got double-ended quick release spring bars, but as you can see, the tabs that you're supposed to grip onto to release them are quite deep, so you might need actually a couple of tools to do that. So I'm not so sure they've utilised the benefit of double-ended quick release spring bars to its fullest effect on this watch, unfortunately, but still, with a couple of tools, I think it shouldn't be too much trouble. Right, let's run through some dimensions before we wrap this up. Diameter is just under 41 millimeters. Thickness is 13.6. Case length is just under 47, and lug width is 20 millimeters. Right, before I pop it on the weighing scales, let's test the crystals. Front facing crystal is definitely sapphire, piece of single domed crystal by the looks of it, with a strong blue AR coating. Now let's test the crystal on the back. Yep, sapphire crystal again. Now what does it all weigh? Set up for my roughly average 7¼ inch-ish wrist. Yeah, it's a touch heavier than I like for my sort of all stainless steel divers. 150 grams is the sort of sweet spot, I think, for the average sized diver. This one's almost 170 grams. So yeah, a touch too big and heavy for me to be an everyday, all day wearer, sadly. So yeah, I am looking forward to seeing what Vesuviate have to offer in the future. It's definitely a micro brand I'll be keeping my eye on. But for this particular watch, unfortunately, no tingles, but let me know, guys, what you think in the comments section. I always enjoy reading your comments, and yeah, they are helpful for other people considering buying these watches. Right, guys, I'm going to leave it there. As always, a massive thank you from me to you for tuning in. I do really appreciate it. Take care, guys. Look after yourselves. You'll see me again very, very soon.